All right, so this is obviously your biggest and most intricate space, and there's going to be a lot going on decor-wise, so let's just keep in mind our budget as we start selecting things that we want for this entire space. It's going to be really easy to get carried away. Let's start with some of the essential things like tablecloths and linens. These will most likely be provided by your venue, or otherwise you can rent them in bulk, but I would make sure you set aside enough for each of the tables you've mapped out in your outline, as well as a few extra of each table size if you should need them. I'd also pick up a couple of extension cables and some gaff tape just in case you'll need to run power to one of your stations. If you're using a tent, picking up some tube lights or paper lanterns would also be a really great way to light up the space and decorate all at the same time. If, like most venues, you've got a lot of pillars or posts in your venue, you should definitely consider purchasing some drapery to hang for these, because this will blend in some of the color and help create some symmetry around your dance floor. And if your DJ is planning some kind of uplighting for the reception, they can definitely place their lights under these drapes and create some really beautiful glowing accent around the room. And this is a super easy and beautiful way to really light up your dance floor. If your venue gives you consent, adding candles on each of the tables will be a really great but subtle way to build ambiance into your entire reception room. My personal favorite is when couples use floating candles as a part of their centerpieces. I think it is so beautiful. If your venue doesn't allow candles though, a really great alternative are fairy lights, because they're battery powered and will last all night long. Some even are waterproof, so you can get the same effect as the floating candles. If you decide that you want to do a sweetheart table, there are a ton of different personalized elements that you can implement, such as custom champagne glasses and the popular Mr. and Mrs. sign in the front, but just be mindful about not piling up too much on your table, because you want to make sure that your photographer and videographers can still get an unobstructed view of you two, especially during your speeches. The best designs that I've seen are those that implement some kind of drapery, candles, and a subtle floral arrangement all on the front of the table. This will really help your table stand out from the others, but also tie them all in together. When it comes to designing your guest tables, you'll want to strive for symmetry. That means that each table looks just like the other, keeping an equal amount of seats between the tables as best that you can, and creating a centerpiece will be the next step. No doubt, most of you probably already have an idea of what you want as your centerpieces, but for those of you who are still a little bit lost, here are a few of my favorite designs. Ultimately, they all incorporate your colors, your personality, and your overall wedding theme, but a lot of couples will include floral of some kind, candles, vases, and some pictures of themselves if you want to personalize it further, or you can pick a theme that fits you and just stick with that. By now, you should have an idea of roughly how many guests will be attending your wedding and shouldn't need to adjust this too much. However, you'll always be able to remove tables if you need to, but adding them will be much harder, so favor on the side of a higher turnout. You'll want to make sure you've got things like linens, chairs, napkins, place cards, plateware, glassware, and silverware for all of these tables. Next up will be your cake table. So most weddings stick to tradition and feature a cake cutting celebration between the couple, but if you're not cake people, it's no problem, because plenty of couples do pies, cupcakes, donuts, or even bundt cakes. Whatever you decide to go with, you'll likely need some kind of display to hold everything, and a lot of people like utilizing the multi-level platforms, and I personally love this look in photos. Make sure you also have a designated cake cutting utensil. You'll need a knife and a serving spade. Make sure you have a plate or two handy at that table as well, because once you cut the cake, you'll need a place to put that slice and divide it amongst the two of you. And I know that sounds obvious, but I have seen this forgotten at so many weddings. Finally, don't forget that cake topper. This piece should be unique to you as a couple, or otherwise reflect the design of your wedding as a whole. I see a lot of couples implement elements of their floral design onto their cake as well, and I love how that just ties everything together. Among those tables that will outline your venue will also be your desserts table. This should be able to hold most, if not all, of your guest desserts portions, so whether that be you're doing cake or donuts or chocolate covered everything, having platforms and trays to hold all of these things will be super important. If you end up going with a variety of options, including label cards with each item, will be really beneficial to your guests, especially if you have any allergies that you need to outline. Just like you've done with any any of those tables, you'll also want to mirror some of your design on this table. That means including a little bit of your floral design, lighting options, or anything else that plays a part in your overall vision. Reflecting back on any signs that you might want to implement, it's becoming more and more popular for couples to add a neon sign to the reception space, which is a personal favorite of mine. These are typically either the couple's new last name or otherwise just generic labels like just married or Mr. and Mrs. I'd also consider any additional signs you might want to add for things like wedding hashtags, a photo booth, or any other table place cards. But be aware, if you've thought about adding a neon sign in the background of your photo booth, a lot of times it's too blown out to be seen clearly in any of your pictures. Either that or it'll be really visible, but your guests will come out looking really dark. An easy fix for this would be to get a neon sign that has a dimmable option so it can be adjusted based on your setting and your background. Just something to keep in mind. Lastly, if you've been to any weddings recently, you might have noticed that many will include additional tables for a variety of other purposes. If you decide that you do want to include any of these in your final design, make sure that you've got enough elements of your decor to space out for each of these tables. A great affordable compromise to keep things budget friendly but still relevant would be to have a bunch of framed pictures of you and your spouse put together, allowing you to spread these throughout your entire reception space and just tie everything together. Some other tables you might want to consider including would be a cards and gifts table, a wedding favors table, a table for your guest book, a guest Polaroid table, a pictures of past ones or loved ones table like a memorial table, framed photos of the couple, family, friends, or a photo booth backdrop and props table. Depending on what your venue provides and what you might need to account for yourselves, looking into a rental company for certain equipment might be a really good idea. In the event of having a buffet-style dinner, having the equipment to hold these dishes as well as keep them warm will definitely be an important thing to consider. You can even rent portable warming units to hold everything until it's time for your dinner to be served. Finally, the last thing you should consider is your final send-off. This is when the married couple leaves their wedding party in style, and a lot of couples love going the route of a sparkler send-off, which is essentially where your guests line up on either side of an aisle and hold sparklers in an arch over the couple as they run off to their happily ever after. This looks fantastic in photo and video and something I always recommend to couples thinking about doing a special ending to their night, but it doesn't have to just be sparklers. I've seen other people do bubbles, rice, confetti, and even hockey sticks, as long as your finale is a reflection of you. And if you do decide that you want to go the route of sparklers, make sure that you get the ones designed for weddings. These particular ones have a 2-minute timer, and trust me, you will end up needing that much time if you have a lot of guests who are participating, especially if they've had a few drinks. I also recommend getting 2 butane lighters. These sparklers are super difficult to light with a traditional lighter, and being able to use a butane lighter on each end of the aisle will mean that you will be able to maximize the amount of time you spend doing pictures under the sparklers. That should just about cover everything that you'd need to know when designing the decor for your venue. Like we mentioned before, the value of a florist plays a big role in this part, so in the next video we'll be diving deeper into that topic specifically. The same goes for having a dedicated coordinator to make sure that all of these elements come together as planned, and having a well-informed, easygoing wedding pro by your side will be the difference between having a stress-filled wedding day and one that is more enjoyable and relaxing. Once you've mapped out and made a log of everything that you'll be needing for your venue, I'd recommend that you start by ordering a sample size of everything on that list. This will give you the opportunity to make sure that they're exactly what you want and not leaving any nasty surprises for right before your wedding. Once you've placed your sample order, if everything looks good, I'd recommend proceeding to buy as much as possible of your decor. Ideally, you'll be purchasing everything for your decor no later than 3 months before your wedding. This is because that any of these items could easily go out of stock or be discontinued altogether between now and then. And like we always say, if you've got your heart set on something, just book it. And believe me, we all know how easy it is to get carried away with picking out all of that beautiful decor for your wedding, but just remember to be mindful of your budget. As far as what this budget should look like, that really depends on the venue itself, because some places need very few accessories to look amazing, where others might require a lot more help. And I've seen the cost for decor go anywhere from $500 to $20,000 depending on the venue. But as a good rule of thumb, I'd say you should plan to spend between 8 and 10% of your total budget exclusively on decor. And while we're on the topic of spending, one last helpful tip that I highly recommend for everyone to consider is to sign up for a travel credit card before making any of these major purchases. If you don't already have one, this is the time to set one up, and let me tell you why. Most travel cards, like Chase Sapphire for example, right now award cardholders with a free 60,000 bonus point perk when they spend at least $4,000 within the first 3 months of activating the card. And in this situation, like where you'll probably be spending that money anyways, that many points could easily pay for both you and your spouse to go on a really nice honeymoon or destination vacation after your wedding. This way, you'll have your flights completely paid for, and that's just another thing to consider. If you have any questions about the material we covered in this video, feel free to post those right into our private Facebook group or email us directly at support@everything.com, and I will see you all in the next video.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our channel right here, and we will see you in the next video.